1280 Newstalk KIT, Lance Tormey, newsman to the stars, Jack Sonian on loan from the Smithsonian, and I am my kid's mom, Dr. Laura. Thanks for being here this morning. We appreciate it, as always. And this has been, week 2 of our candidate interviews.
That's right.
The primary coming fast, August the 6th. I had a blog post last night talking about why it's so important to be an informed voter, know who you're voting for. There is a certain level of dysfunction within our council. I think it's safe to say council members don't trust each other, and a lot of the public doesn't trust the council. So it will be up to the new people to try to restore that trust. And
yeah, that's right. Ooh, big job ahead.
And in District number 5, which was the former mayor's or current mayor's, Kathy Coffey's district, there's 3 people running. And so one of them will have to pick up that mantle and try to restore confidence because the mayor's not seeking re-election.
That's right. And
one of those candidates would be...
And right here, that's right.
Soneya Lund, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Soneya.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Thanks for being here. We know you're maybe not a morning person. Is that a fair statement?
That's okay.
I am almost unlovable at this hour.
Okay, good to know.
Council meetings are at 5:30, so you're going to be good.
Got time to make it fit.
So tell us about yourself. What do you do? Tell us about your family. Who is Soneya?
Well, I was born in South Korea and raised here. My dad was in the military. My mom's Korean. Love story.
Yeah, that's cool.
I went to school here, went away to college, came back to raise a family and start a business. I own a salon here in town, sales salon. Been doing that for 22 years, so a long time.
And how do you pronounce that again?
Sale salon in Yakima since 2001.
Mm-hmm. So you make sales then, is that what?
Well, it's actually SAOL, which is Gaelic for the all-inclusive good life.
That's
Gaelic.
Cool.
All of you Gaelic Koreans. Interesting combination.
Oh, my dad's Irish, so.
Oh, yes. Okay, very
cool.
good. So any previous political endeavors in your background? Have you run for anything, or have you been a long-time observer, or are you inspired to run based on recent events? What kind of motivates you?
Well, I mean, I was voted class treasurer in 2nd grade.
Bam! There you go.
There you go. No, nothing really political as an adult.
Yeah.
Recently, there's been some stuff on the state level as far as my industry goes
Certainly.
that I got really, really involved in. So I think that's pretty much.
Okay, so but you've lived a life of business.
I have.
And as such, your path has crossed many of the institutions of government and how government operates and all of that. So you're not coming into this thing like just off of a Hawaiian vacation or something.
Oh, no.
The point that I'm getting at is specifically for this position and this time in our city's history, your motivation is what?
I just think that it's become really hard to run a business, to open a business, run a business, do business in Yakima. I think we're met with, I think the city, and we as people here in the city, generally come from a place of no instead of how. And I think that that's kind of the wrong mindset if we want to grow as a community.
Interesting. So you would, we're going to ask you about some of the specifics of what you want to do and all of that. But for starters, I guess what I'm hearing you say is that just sort of and I would agree with you, attitudinally, we've never done it that way, or kind of like, change, what? No way. So there is a bit of that.
Right. And as the world around us changes and as business changes, here, we have to change our mindset to be open to the possibility of thinking outside of that box.
So that's going to take leadership to get us there if we are, as you describe. We're not there now. So how do you change our mind, I guess? not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy. I think you said it best at the very beginning. Our council is not functioning as a whole.
Well, they don't inspire belief
they do
in
not
their leadership.
inspire leadership at all, and or any faith in them as leaders. And I think that's I think they're trying to do good work, and they just keep coming up against each other.
And how do you change that?
Well, I mean, personality changes sometimes help, just getting somebody with a different personality. And I think somebody who's optimistic and also can work well with other people, I think that's, pretty key. And I have a client list of 500 people that like me and work well with me, and I'm able to communicate well with them. So
Until you take their ear off, and then everything changes.
Everything changes.
Well, all right. So that being the case, let's let that be a jump-off point in terms of working well with each other. One of the recent news-making incidents was when the council voted to censure K-Funk for inappropriate comments, and there was a list of things, whether you believe that rises to the level of censure or not. We also don't know how much stuff went down behind the scenes that finally led to that moment. And she has a lot of people willing to stand up and say this was wrong, to silence her voice, because you're really silencing the representation of 17,000 Yakimanians in her district. Other people have said, well, how do you control when people are disruptive and out of line? So what's your take on the specifics? Do you support a censure of Ms. Funk as a reasonable action by council, or how can council best get along in times when they're not?
I don't think the council should have censured her. I believe that they did it, essentially silence 17,000 voices. But there is an expectation of behavior and a level of professionalism that you should demand from
And
your
if you're
council
not getting
members.
it, what can you do? Strongly worded note in the file? I mean,
I don't really know the answer to that. I think that is a very interesting and unique situation that's probably never happened on the council before.
Yeah, I don't recall in all my time
I don't know.
in this town seeing that.
think-
We talked about it when I was on council about needing something like that, because we had some disruptive people that seemed to want to disrupt just for disruptive's sake. Well, okay,
But also, I think too that she just needs to be heard. Like, she wants to be heard, and she has a valid voice. And I think that she's been dismissed easily, maybe because of personality issue. So I think maybe.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't have to have an
I don't know
answer.
that
I mean, that's the
but-
bottom line. That's nothing that's required on the forum when you sign up. We're just kind of fishing around for how your mind works and how you see things. So let's talk about Lance. You always ask.
Yeah, well, I was just going to remind everyone, it's 7:25. We're talking to a Yakima City Council District 5 candidate, Soneya Lund. We're talking District 5 is what, North Central?
North Central. It goes from Peck's Canyon Road all the way to the west side of North First Street. So like the Union Gospel Mission side. So Union Gospel Mission to Peck's Canyon Road, from roughly Yakima Avenue to the freeway.
So a lot of homes in there, definitely.
A lot of homes.
Been knocking on doors. What are they telling you?
Been knocking on doors. It's such a diverse district. Knocking on doors kind of east of 16th. People are worried about jobs, good jobs. I mean, I've talked to a few people who obviously retired now, but I mean, were working at the mill and when they closed, and then worked at Geldwin, and then, I mean, all of these things, and jobs are a huge issue. And as I moved west, it kind of changed. In my neighborhood, several constituents wanted streetlights on 28th and Lincoln, because kids are darting across the street to get to school, and it's just an accident waiting to happen, a tragic accident waiting to happen. The farther west I got, it was, what are you going to do about all these people on drugs? So, I mean, it's just kind of it's a really diverse.
It's like a roller coaster
It
ride.
really
through
is.
the
It
district,
really
right?
is. I think my district is the best district. So there's that.
Of course you do. What about the current council? Do you think that the districting decision has had an impact? How would you feel about the prospect of a change in government to an elected mayor? And I bring it up because if you've read the highlights or were at the city council meeting on Tuesday, they made their recommendation for new city manager plan and assistant city manager, and the subject was brought up about what about the change in government. A couple of people, Dulce and Kay Funk, thought it was inappropriate, and they voted to strike that information from the discussion, even though the city manager then was more or less objected to that because of the importance of that. Would you be in favor of considering a change to a elected mayor?
I think, from what I'm hearing from my constituents, that's something that they really want to explore and talk about it and see what that looks like. So, yeah, I'm definitely in favor of that conversation.
Yeah,
Sure.
and it's ultimately a vote to decide. You don't have to make that decision. You can make the decision to put it on the ballot, or you can allow citizens to do it. So,
I would vote to put it on the ballot. Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Your constituents, the people that are out there, the doors on your knock that you're not gonna, are they saying anything about gangs and East Side pools and homelessness? And,
Oh, yes.
I mean, what are they telling you?
Like I said, for the further west I go, the less I hear about the gangs, and it's not, if it's not in your face, it's not in your
Sure.
particular neighborhood.
Right.
It's not something you think about much.
Right.
So, I think people are, the further west they are, the more confused they are about the pool, like where we are with the pool on the east side.
It's a proximity thing. The closer you are to the issues,
The closer
the
you
more
are to the
you know
issues,
about
the more
them.
you know about them, the more they affect your life personally, and I think that's really what it is.
Well, we are approaching news time. When we come back, we're going to ask you about what you think the council is doing good, the direction of the city that's positive. We always poke at the negative. We want to get your thoughts on what your agenda, things of your concern to address right away. And some surprise trick questions. Those will all be coming straight
Sounds
ahead.
fun.
Yeah, so
We
stick
don't
around.
have any surprise trick
We
questions.
don't have. We're surprised when we come up with questions. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
We are going to continue our conversation so that you can be an informed voter.
That's right.
And District number 3, we've had the other two candidates. We haven't had all the other candidates. Was yesterday, the day before, and the day before. Now in District 5,
That's right.
we've got Soneya Lund. And Soneya, your opponents are who?
Mark Collins and Liz Halleck.
That is correct. So you passed the first test. You know who you're taking on, so that's good. We haven't heard much from Mr. Collins in the campaign world as of yet. And, of course, Ms. Halleck was a candidate for the legislature, so I think her name is out there. Are you finding the get the name out thing, meet the people, do the forums, do whatever? How are you finding that process? Are you getting out to as many people as you'd like? I'll let you answer that. I was just going to say I found it very difficult to think that you're going to connect with all the people you need to connect with when I was running. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's. I think it's easier now because of districts, so they're smaller.
Right.
I don't know that the forums so much help as much as they used to, as when it was a citywide vote. I'm doing meet and greets and door knocking, and I've been riding around with the police and fire department and ambulance companies and all of the things that make the city run, and people who work and live here. So I'm meeting as many people as I can, and that's about it.
Okay.
You've been in business since what, 2001?
2001, when I moved back to Yakima, yes.
Well, okay, so you know your business. You got business experience. How do you think that'll help you on the council? What will you bring to the council?
Well, I think city council, the city should be run like a business. I mean, there's a budget, there's things that need to be improved and things that need to be maintained. And we should get back to that. I think right now our council is looking a little like a reality show, and I don't need to be entertained by my local government. I don't. So, I mean, honestly, like, I really do just want to get back to the business of running a city.
I would submit that some of that comes from the fact that people have agendas above and beyond just the city, and as it intersects with those agendas, that's a lot of times where the conflict is at. So if your attitude is, we got a city to run, let's run it the best we can, then that's a refreshing approach. Is there anything about the city that you like, that you would seek to maintain? Are there any projects that are underway or that are on the books that you know of? And, these are always tough questions to ask people who are on the outside, because you don't necessarily know everything that's going on, even if you're studying it. But are there some things that you like? What's happening with the council?
Well, I'm really loving the North First Street project that they're doing, and the 3 phases that they're doing. My fear is that a new council will get on and walk back projects that have already started, and so thus ending them. And so we're like left halfway done or a third of the way done, and we become that city that almost did it but didn't. So I think that's kind of historically what's happened.
That's a fair point. Got to ask you this, because all of our council members have been asked the question. A bit of a call to, where do you stand on illegal immigration with the ICE flight decision? Big meeting the other night. Dulce and Carmen both wanted to show the community where the council stands on allowing the ICE flights to continue at our airport. Had you been on council, how would you have voted?
I feel like they should probably just stay in their lane. I mean, this is the federal government we're talking about. It's not, city council can't stop the ICE flights. And I hear all the time, well, they did it in Seattle. Well, that situation is different. We have one fixed base operator here. They had several. There was leverage there. We don't have that. Also, stopping ICE flights does not stop ICE. So that kind of perception that we need to stop ICE, get ICE out of Yakima by stopping ICE flights, it isn't true. So I wouldn't have voted to stop ICE flights.
Is anyone asking you about that when you're door knocking?
Not necessarily when I'm door knocking. I think I'm getting asked that a lot online, and my answer's always been the same. It is not our business. It is the federal government. That's the end of. That's really.
Yeah.
And my answer, just because my answer doesn't. People who have asked me keep asking me. It's the same people that keep asking me. And just because it's an answer that they don't like or don't want to hear doesn't mean it's not the right answer.
Yeah. Or that you're going to change it.
Or that I'm going to change it. Because.
What about taxation? That's one of the things that I was always amazed by, how people were saying, the city and my taxes. There's very little the city can do in terms of taxation of people. I mean, that's just not the revenue source. But we do have a 1% cap on property tax that the council can levy and has for the most part. I think one year when I was on, we didn't. The rest of the time we did. But there's talk now by a couple of the folks who will be coming back. Should you get on council, you would then be serving with a couple of folks that are definitely coming back and who've asked for a conversation about a cap lift, having an election to lift the cap that's on property tax to generate more money, because replenishing certain reserves and all that.
Right. And that would have to go to a vote of the people, right, Dave?
Yeah. If they go beyond the 1%, my understanding is that it does. Do you have any thoughts on that? Some people, when they go in, they say no taxes no matter what when I'm on council. Others say, hey, you got to take it as it comes. Have you wrestled with those kinds of thoughts yet?
I think reasonable people don't mind paying taxes if they know what the taxes are going for, if they can see that they're actually doing something with the taxes, if they're using the money and spending the money wisely and in a way that is beneficial to the entire city. I don't think people have a problem paying a little more in taxes. I don't. It's when there's waste and when there's, I guess, not transparency. I think that's when people have a real issue. And when we're talking about lifting, I think you're talking about the levy lid lift. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I did a little bit, and I might be wrong here, but I did a little bit of quick math in my head, and I think it came out to like an additional 32 cents per thousand or something like that. Is that what they're talking about? And I think on my property, well, not specifically mine, but I mean, I think on a $200,000 property, I think that's only like $64 a year. So, I mean, in terms of lattes, that's one a month.
There is the state sets a limit, and I don't know who understands this other than Dave Cook, right? He's our assessor, and he's about the only guy I know that can actually spit this out. But the 32 cents that you're talking about is that the state sets a limit, and then we are assessed to raise money up to that limit.
Right.
So if there's 100 houses and the limit is $100, well, everybody pays $1. And then we have some construction, and it comes in at 20 more houses. So if the limit's $100, then everybody's only paying 96 cents or something like that. But you still have the right to go up to that amount, and so that's the 32 cents that's out there right now. Given construction and growth, we could the council could put, as I understood it after talking to the finance guy, you could drop 32 cents on everybody right now, which would raise about $2.1 million more. But that's a little separate from the levy lid lift, as he explained it to me. And like I said, only Dave Cook understands it, so I'm not so sure I got it right. Well, it'd be something that you would want to do if, most people say, I'm going to, a chicken in every pot and a car in every garage and all those kinds of things. And when they're running for office and they may or may not know what the limitations of what they can do, what would you like to do if you got elected?
Well, I like I said, I want to continue the work on North 1st Street. I want to, well, I mean, this is kind of exciting news. Like the House passed that bill, 1406, that gets a part of the state sales tax back into Yakima for affordable housing, earmarked for affordable
That's money
housing.
We're sending in that we get to keep.
Right, we get to keep now. And so I think exploring that, although that is going to take the council has to pass a notice of intent within 6 months for that to even happen. So I'm hoping that they can get that going, because that'll be before anybody new is on council. So,
but it does provide that source of money.
It does provide that source of money for affordable housing, which is something I think we can all agree on that is a desperate need in Yakima. As property values go up, so do rents, and also our growing homeless population. So,
is it the city's responsibility, in your opinion, to solve the homeless situation, or to what degree should the city be involved in dealing with the homeless?
I think the city has a limited responsibility as far as the homeless goes. I think if we look at it in terms of supporting downtown business, like public restrooms would help. My salon was downtown until a couple years ago, and I struggled on the daily with having to come in early and wash off the stoop of my front door so that customers could come in because of the homeless. And I was yelling for public bathrooms then because that's what I was washing, right? So those sorts of things.
Would you support the plan to place a permanent shelter out near the Greenway?
No, I would not. I think the Greenway land should be conserved, and I think the Greenway should be. Right now it's being underutilized as for what it is, which is a green belt and green space, which is something we don't have a whole lot of here. So.
Well, just a couple minutes to go to the top of the hour.
Have we asked you about the strong mayor?
Yes.
Okay. I was just I got busy at the bottom of the hour last time. Just to let everyone know, you have been a foster parent, and you serve on the board of Rod's House.
I do.
A member of the Rotary Club, and leadership Yakima class of 2019.
Yes.
Did the leadership class of 2019 get you thinking about this?
No, I was already thinking about this before that. Although I wanted to take the leadership Yakima class last year before I was thinking about council, so I'm not sure which one came first. But leadership Yakima through the Greater Chamber of Commerce is an amazing program. So I suggest everybody or anybody to do that.
Yeah, whether you're going to run for office or not,
Right.
it helps you really understand how this community works. All right, so Dave and Lance and all of Yakima are trapped in the elevator with you. Awkward as that might be, it does give you the opportunity for your elevator pitch.
My elevator pitch.
Why should people vote for Soneya Lund?
Well, I was raised here. I came back and raised my family here. I raised a business here. And I just see things are changing, and they're not changing to make things easier. And our children are choosing to not live here. They're going away to school and not coming back. And I think that Yakima needs to be a place, or go back to a place, where our kids can choose to be here, raise their families, pay their taxes here, and live. Because I think this is a beautiful place. And I think we do that by promoting economic growth, by ramping up our infrastructure, by providing great entertainment things to do, and quality of life. I mean, those are things that we need to focus on as a city government, and just kind of leave the rest of it out.
Soneya, how would you describe yourself politically?
Right down the middle. Yeah.
Right down the middle.
I don't want
Excellent.
to identify with either, honestly. Like I said, government has become a reality show, and I don't want to be part of it.
Right on. Right on.
Well, we'll give you the same parting comments we give to everybody. We wish you the very best of luck in this upcoming primary. Like I said, I made a blog post yesterday about why it is critical that people be informed that we have had a dysfunctional situation on council. Some of it, I believe, is personalities. Some of it's systems oriented. But I think that we need to really be informed as to who is getting on council. We'll have at least 3 new, possibly 4, but definitely 3. We'll have a new city manager, assistant city manager, possible change in government on top of that. So people really need to listen to you. If you people that are just tuning in, get to our website. We'll have this interview posted later today. And should you win and be back in the general, we will have you back for more conversations down the road. And then if you get on council, we'd like to see you periodically. We don't get any real input from council right now. And we have thousands and thousands of listeners, and they deserve to hear from their council people. So we would like to sign you to an intent to appear on the program down the road if you get there.
I would be glad to. Yep.
All right. Well, best of good luck
in this morning.
Soneya Lund.
Right on.
District 5, replacing our mayor, Mayor Kathy Coffey.